What's up, Viera? Here's what went down for Viera West in July 2025. And just so you guys know, we are referencing residential sales only, and we have omitted new construction sales. In today's video, we're gonna go over three things. We're gonna talk about basics facts, so just sales, prices, things like that. I'm gonna get into a little bit more detailed information. We're gonna talk about density and areas where we saw some high sales. And then the last thing we'll talk about is a purchase type, meaning how do buyers purchase property in Viera West. The first thing we're gonna go over, total sales for the month of July. We saw 37 total sales in all Viera West. That is slightly down from June of 2025, where we saw 42 total sales. The median sales price was $650,000. Median days on market was 55. This is slightly up from June of 2025, where the median days on market was 42. This is just, it's pretty common. It means we're in the full slowdown summer effect. Right now, we're in that kind of downward trend because school is getting back in the session, and things will pick up normally towards the end of August. And then the median sold to original list ratio, this is something we go over every month. It's 96%, and this is held pretty true for almost all year. And remember, that stat is just a statistic that goes over what a property was listed at and then where it eventually sold. So 96% of the original list price, meaning it's sold within 4% of that original list price. Now we're gonna get into a little bit more detailed stuff. We saw 6 homes sell in the million plus category, and those neighborhoods are going to be Adelaide, Summer Lakes, Wyndham, which I did have one of those sales for the month of July in Wyndham. It's one of my favorite communities. We have a video about Wyndham if you want to check that out and learn more about that area. Charlotte and Seville. And a side note on Seville, Seville is another one of my favorite communities. Seville and Valencia are kind of like brother-sister neighborhoods. They're both gated, both hold custom homes. And if you aren't familiar with those neighborhoods, you can check out our YouTube channel because we have videos on those as well. We're gonna go over a high sale, which was in Adelaide, no surprise there. And that high sale for the month of July was 2.4 million. And if you don't know anything about Adelaide, Adelaide is Viera's top luxury, premier community. We're seeing the most expensive real estate on the mainland currently in Adelaide. And no surprise that we saw a lot of movement in the southern Viera West sector, which is going to include all the Cove communities. So that's Tresona Cove, Sierra Cove, and Sendero Cove. And this is primarily due to the age of these homes. They're somewhere between 5 and 7 years old on average. And we just see that natural kind of tenure of when people buy, when people purchase a home and then they get into that season of selling, whether because they're relocating out of the area, relocating to another Viera builder community, which is quite common for people that purchase a Viera builder home, or they decide to buy somewhere else. And just to kind of cover everything, I'm still seeing a lot of buyer concessions and negotiations on listings. So it's very common for buyers to come in and then offer, sometimes well below asking price and try to find a mutual common ground where they can, negotiate and purchase the property. And then concessions could either be in the format of upfront, a concession towards closing costs, or during the contractual phase where it could be, related to inspection items or some other reason that the buyer is just asking for a little bit of concession to take care of whatever it may be. All right, now let's break down the purchase types. So this is where we're going to start talking about, was it financing, cash, or other forms that buyers use to purchase real estate? 18 of the total sales were conventional financing. 11 of these purchases were cash buyers. 7 were VA deals. And then we had 1 FHA deal. So in summary, 70% of all of the transactions in Viera West were financing. And I only bring this up because if you are a seller and you are trying to figure out what type of buyer, meaning how are they going to purchase your home, the odds are in your favor that it's going to be someone that's financing. So that comes into play with inspections, whether that's related to insurance or condition of the home, an appraisal, things like that. So just be on the lookout. If you're selling your home, the odds are it's going to be a buyer that is financing a purchase. And that's all we're covering for this month. If there's other stats that you want us to cover in future videos, please drop it in the comments, and I have no problem adding it to these videos. I love data and I love giving you guys the information that'll help you make an informed purchase. And we'll see you next month.